Crystal chandeliers scattered rainbow light across white marble. 200 guests sat in gilded chairs, their designer perfumes mixing with the scent of 1,000 white roses. Emily Carter stood at the end of the aisle, her heart hammering against her ribs, so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Henry Sterling waited at the altar in a custom tuxedo, his dark hair perfectly styled, his jaw set, but something was wrong. She could see it in the tension of his shoulders, the way his hand kept reaching for his phone. The string quartet began. Emily took her first step. Henry's phone rang. The music stuttered. Guests shifted. Henry pulled out his phone, stared at the screen, and Emily watched the color drain from his face. "Henry?" she called softly. "Everyone's waiting." He answered the call. The ballroom went silent. Emily stood frozen halfway down the aisle, her bouquet trembling in her hands. She could hear a woman's voice through the phone, desperate and pleading, loud enough that the nearest guests leaned forward. "Henry, I'm waiting for you. You can't marry her if you love me. Come here now." Time stopped. Emily's vision blurred at the edges. Henry lowered the phone, looked at her with something that might have been regret or might have been relief, and said 3 words that would haunt her forever. "I'm sorry, Emily." Then he walked away, not toward her, away from her, down the side aisle, phone pressed to his ear, leaving her standing in a spotlight of white satin and shattered dreams. The first camera flash went off, then another, then a dozen more. Emily couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The guests erupted into whispers that crashed over her like waves. He just left her. Is there another woman? This is unbelievable. Her knees buckled. Someone caught her arm, but she couldn't see who, through the tears that suddenly flooded her vision. She looked toward Henry's family in the front row. His mother, Evelyn Sterling, sat with her mouth pressed into a thin line of satisfaction, as if this was exactly what she'd wanted all along. Emily's father stood, his face red with fury, but Henry was already gone, disappeared through the ballroom doors like smoke. The wedding planner rushed forward, hissing urgent instructions to someone. Guests rose from their seats, a murmur of scandalized curiosity and pity. Cameras kept flashing, each burst of light feeling like another layer of skin being stripped away. Emily stared down at her engagement ring. The 3-carat diamond caught the chandelier light, mocking her. Henry had promised her forever. He'd gotten down on one knee in Central Park at sunset and told her she was the only woman he'd ever love. All lies. A sob tore from her chest, raw and ugly, the kind of sound that couldn't be contained or controlled. She was crying in front of 200 people, her mascara running, her perfect wedding dress suddenly feeling like a costume from someone else's life. "Miss Carter," the wedding planner whispered, "we need to get you out of here." But Emily couldn't move. She stood there, spotlight burning down on her humiliation, felt her entire world collapse like a building with no foundation. By tomorrow, this would be everywhere. The jilted bride, the woman who wasn't good enough, the girl who thought she could marry into New York's elite and got exactly what she deserved. Through her tears, Emily made a promise to herself and to the ghost of the man who'd destroyed her. One day, she would make Henry Sterling pay for this. The tabloids hit before sunrise. Sterling wedding shocker. Emily Carter jilted at altar, gold digger gets what she deserves. Millionaire groom abandons bride, the scandal that rocked New York's elite. Emily sat on her apartment floor, surrounded by newspapers, each headline worse than the last. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, strangers, people she'd thought were friends, calling for gossip disguised as concern. She turned it off and stared at the wall. By noon,
paparazzi
camped outside her building. Her landlord called, apologetic but firm. "The other tenants are complaining. Maybe you should find somewhere else to stay." By 2 o'clock, she got a call from her boss. He wouldn't meet her eyes over video chat. "Emily, I'm sorry. The executives don't want the negative publicity. We're letting you go." "I didn't do anything wrong," she whispered. "I know. But your name is toxic right now." Toxic. The word stuck in her throat like glass. That night, rain hammered the city. Emily pulled her hood low and ran to the corner store, desperate for food she could barely afford. The paparazzi found her anyway. Camera flashes exploded in the darkness. She dropped her groceries, vegetables rolling into the gutter. Blinded by lights, she ran down a side alley and collapsed against a wet brick wall. Rain mixed with tears. Her sobs echoed off the grimy walls. "I hate you," she whispered to the storm. "I hate you, Henry Sterling." But hate wasn't enough. Hate wouldn't pay her rent or fix her reputation or erase the humiliation, branded into her skin. She needed something stronger. 3 days later, Emily Carter disappeared. She broke her lease, sold everything, and bought a one-way bus ticket to Philadelphia, then Baltimore, then Chicago. She moved like a ghost, leaving no trail, no forwarding address, no trace of the woman who'd been destroyed at that altar. In a cramped motel room in Chicago, she stared at herself in a cracked mirror. Her face was thinner, harder. Her eyes looked older than her years. "Emily Carter died in that ballroom," she said to her reflection. "I'm someone else now." She opened a laptop she'd bought at a pawn shop and searched for business courses. Online degrees? Anything that could rebuild her from the ground up. The ember of revenge in her chest began to glow brighter. 6 months passed. Emily worked 3 jobs, waitressing by day, cleaning offices by night, taking online courses whenever she could steal an hour. She saved every dollar, lived on instant noodles, and studied until her eyes burned. She learned about finance, marketing, real estate investment, strategic leadership. Her grades were perfect. Her focus absolute. A small investor in Chicago noticed her work at a struggling boutique. She'd turned profitable in 3 months. He offered her a consulting contract, then another, then 5 more. Emily Carter became Alina Carter on paper, a clean break from her past. She registered an LLC, Carter & Company, specializing in strategic branding and real estate investment. Her client list grew. Her bank account grew. Her confidence grew. 2 years after the wedding, she bought her first property. A micro-loft in a revitalizing neighborhood. She flipped it for double the investment. 3 years after, she owned 4 properties and consulted for a dozen businesses. 4 years after, her company went fully operational with actual office space and 3 employees. 5 years after, Henry Sterling walked away from her at that altar. Alina Carter walked into a high-rise boardroom in Manhattan, wearing a tailored black suit and fur-inch heels that made her feel 10 feet tall. The man across the conference table looked up from his documents. Henry Sterling's eyes went wide. His face drained of all color. "Hello, Henry," Alina said, her voice smooth as silk and cold as winter. "I believe we have a business meeting scheduled." He opened his mouth, closed it, stared at her like she was a ghost. "You look like you've seen a dead woman," she continued, settling into her chair with practiced grace. "Funny how that works." "Emily," he breathed. "Lena," she corrected. "Emily Carter died 5 years ago." "You were at the funeral." Henry couldn't stop staring. The woman sitting across from him bore little resemblance to the girl he'd left at the altar. Emily had been soft, eager to please, desperate for his approval. Alina Carter was carved from stone and expensive ambition. "Can't be here," he finally managed, "and yet here I am." She opened her briefcase, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. "Sterling Industries wants to acquire the Riverside property portfolio. Unfortunately for you, I own it." His hand shook as he reached for the documents. "How did you build a multi-million-dollar company in 5 years?" She smiled, and it was razor-sharp. "Turns out, when you have nothing left to lose, you become very motivated." "Emily?" "Listen, Alina," she cut him off, "and you'll address me as Ms. Carter in professional settings, which is the only setting we'll have from now on." Henry's jaw clenched. She watched the muscle twitch, remembered when she used to find that attractive. Now, it just looked like weakness. "I need those properties," he said. "My father's company depends on that deal." "I know." She leaned back. "I made sure of it. I've been buying up every property in that corridor for 3 years, waiting for Sterling Industries to commit to the development project. Now you're locked in, and I hold all the cards." Realization dawned across his face. You planned this. I promised myself I'd make you pay. She closed her briefcase with a decisive click. Consider this the down payment. What do you want? Money. Name your price. You think this is about money? Her laugh was cold. Henry, money is just the scoreboard. What I want is to watch you squirm. To see you lose something important while everyone watches. To feel what I felt that day. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping back. That day wasn't what you think. Then what was it? She rose to meet him, refusing to be intimidated. Enlighten me, Henry. Who was the woman on the phone? Where did you go when you walked out on me? His face crumbled. For a moment, he looked haunted. My sister Alina froze. What? The call was from my sister Natalie. His voice cracked. She was in the hospital. Overdose. She was dying, Emily. She was dying, and she called me, and I had to go. The room tilted. Alina gripped the table edge. You're lying. I'm not. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands, scrolled through old photos, and showed her. A young woman in a hospital bed, tubes and monitors everywhere. The date stamp read the day of their wedding. Why didn't you tell me? Alina whispered. Because when I got to the hospital, my mother was there. She told me Natalie had been using for months, that everyone knew except me, that you knew. It's insane. I never, she said, you'd been feeding Natalie drugs, trying to destroy my family from the inside. That you were a con artist who saw an opportunity when my sister got vulnerable. His eyes were red. And I believed her, Emily. God help me. I believed her because Natalie was barely conscious and my mother was so convincing, and I was terrified. Alina sank back into her chair. Your mother lied. I know that now. He sat down heavily. Natalie recovered. It took her 2 years to get clean, but she did. And when she was finally strong enough, she told me the truth. That mom had been the one supplying her with pills, trying to keep her dependent. That mom had orchestrated the whole thing to break up our wedding because she never thought you were good enough for our family. The conference room was silent, except for the hum of air conditioning. Where's your mother now? Alina asked quietly. Psychiatric facility? Turns out, she's been mentally unstable for years. Dad finally had her committed when Natalie gave her testimony. He looked at Alina with desperate eyes. I tried to find you. I searched for months. You just vanished, because I was destroyed, she said flatly. Because the tabloids called me a gold digger and I lost my job and my apartment and every friend I had. Because your family released statements saying you were right to leave me? Right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Emily. Don't. She stood. Don't apologize like it fixes anything. You chose to believe I was a monster instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt. You walked away without a word of explanation and let me burn in public humiliation. I was scared and stupid and I was in love with you. Her voice broke. I would have understood about your sister. I would have gone to the hospital with you. Instead, you threw me away like garbage and never looked back. Henry crossed to her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. The same scent he'd worn 5 years ago. Let me make it right, please. Give me a chance to fix this. Alina looked up at him, at the man who'd destroyed and inadvertently rebuilt her, and felt something dangerous stir in her chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something. You want to make it right. She asked more than anything. Then sell me Sterling Industries. Every share, every asset. Transfer it to my company, and we'll call it even. His face went pale. That's my family's legacy. My father's entire life. And my dignity was my entire life. Your choice, Henry. Your legacy or your conscience. She walked to the door, her heels clicking on polished floor. Alina, wait. She paused but didn't turn around. Just hear me out. If you still want to destroy me after, I won't stop you. Every rational cell in her body screamed to say no. But the irrational part, the part that still remembered loving him, hesitated. One dinner, she said, but this doesn't change anything. The restaurant was small, intimate, tucked away in a neighborhood where paparazzi didn't hunt. Henry had chosen it deliberately. Alina noticed and hated that she appreciated the gesture. He looked different and casual. Clothes, tired, older. The arrogant millionaire from 5 years ago had been replaced by someone who looked like he carried ghosts. "Natalie wants to meet you," he said. After they ordered, "She's been asking about you for years." Lena's wine glass paused halfway to her lips. "Why would she want to meet me?" "Because she remembers you?" "From before." His fingers drummed the table nervously. "You visited her once at the house? She was having a bad day, and you sat with her for 3 hours, just talking. You didn't judge her." She never forgot that. Memory surfaced. A thin girl with haunted eyes, shaking hands, desperate gratitude for simple human kindness. Emily had thought nothing of it at the time. "I didn't know she was using," Elena said quietly. "Nobody knew how bad it was. She was good at hiding it." He leaned forward. "My mother made it worse. Gave her pills, told her they'd help, made her dependent, all to maintain control. That's sick. That's my family." The smile was bitter. "You dodged a bullet, Emily. Being a Sterling is a curse dressed in expensive suits." "Alina," she corrected automatically, but her heart wasn't in it. "Lena," he repeated softly. "Do you ever miss being Emily?" The question landed like a punch. She set down her wine glass carefully. Emily was naive. She believed in fairy tales and happy endings. She thought love was enough. Lena met his eyes. Emily died because she had to. Alina survived because she refused to stay buried. "I killed Emily," Henry said, and his voice cracked. "I know that. I live with that every day." "Good." The word came out harsher than she intended. "You should." They sat in silence. The waiter brought their food. Neither of them touched it. "I sold my shares," Henry said suddenly. Elena's head snapped up. "What? Sterling Industries?" "I sold my controlling shares to a private equity firm this morning. My father will remain CEO, but I'm out." He pulled a document from his jacket and slid it across the table. "This is the deed to the Riverside property you wanted. It's yours. No cost." She stared at the paper like it might explode. "Why would you do this?" "Because you were right. One chose my legacy over you once. I'm not making that mistake again. This doesn't fix anything," she said. But her hands were shaking as she picked up the deed. "I know." He reached across the table, his fingers stopping just short of touching hers. "But maybe it's a start." Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and froze. Unknown number. A single text. "Meet me at the Sterling estate. Come alone. There's something you need to know about Henry." Evelyn Sterling Shea showed Henry the message. His face went white. "Don't go. My mother is dangerous. She's in a psychiatric facility." She was. He grabbed his phone, made a call, listened, and cursed. "She checked herself out 3 days ago. I wasn't notified." Lena stood. "Then I'm going." "Emily, please, Alina," she corrected, but her voice was gentle this time. "And I'm not that scared girl anymore, Henry. I can handle your mother. Not alone, you can't." He stood too. "I'm coming with you." The Sterling estate loomed against the night sky like a monument to old money and older secrets. Alina parked her car in the circular driveway, Henry pulling up beside her in his own vehicle. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the mansion was dark except for a single light coming from the study. Elena's heels echoed on marble as they walked toward it. Evelyn Sterling sat behind a mahogany desk, perfectly dressed, perfectly composed, holding a gun. "Hello, Emily," she said pleasantly. "I've been expecting you." Henry stepped in front of Alina. "Mom, put the gun down." "Oh, don't worry, darling. It's not loaded." "I'm not a monster." Evelyn set it on the desk with a gentle click. "But I did need to ensure you'd both stay and listen." "I'm calling the police," Henry said, reaching for his phone. "Do that, and I'll tell them about the offshore accounts. The tax fraud, the embezzlement."
Ellen smiled.
"Your father's crimes, Henry. The ones I've been covering up for 30 years. The ones that will destroy the Sterling name if they come to light." Alina felt Henry's body go rigid beside her. "You're bluffing," he said. "Am I?" Evelyn pulled out a folder. Bank statements, wire transfers, signed confessions. I've been documenting everything, waiting for the right moment. She looked at Elena. And you, dear girl, gave me the perfect opportunity. What do you want? Elena asked. I want you to disappear again. Walk away from my son, from the properties, from everything. In exchange, I bury this evidence, and Henry's father stays out of prison. Evelyn's smile was poisonous. Otherwise, I hand this to the FBI tomorrow, and both sterling men lose everything. Elena looked at Henry, saw the defeat in his eyes. The acceptance. Do it, he said quietly. Take the deal. Save yourself. Henry, I'm not worth sacrificing your future for, Emily. I never was. Elena stared at him. At the man who'd destroyed her? At the man who'd just given up everything to try to make it right? At the man who was now willing to let her go to protect her? She turned to Evelyn. You want me gone? Fine. But on one condition. You're not in a position to negotiate, Evelyn said. I am, actually. Lena pulled out her phone. Because I've been recording this entire conversation. Blackmail, extortion, threats. That's good for 10 to 20 years, even for someone like you. Evelyn's smile vanished. You're bluffing. Try me. Elena's voice was ice. Here's my offer. You destroy that evidence against Henry's father. You check yourself back into treatment and stay there. And you never contact your family again. Or I release this recording to every news outlet in the city, and you spend the rest of your life in prison. The room was silent except for Evelyn's breathing, sharp and angry. You've become quite ruthless, she said finally. I had a good teacher. Lena met her eyes. Your son broke me, but you taught me how to survive being broken. So thank you, Evelyn. Thank you for making me into someone who can't be destroyed twice. Evelyn stood slowly. For a moment, Elena thought she might actually attack. Instead, she walked to the fireplace and threw the folder into the flames. I hope he hurts you again, she said, watching the evidence burn. I hope you fall in love with him and he destroys you all over again. Because that's what Sterlings do. We destroy everything we touch. She walked past them, her footsteps fading into the darkness of the mansion. Henry turned to Elena. You saved my family. I saved you, she corrected. There's a difference. Why? She looked at him, this flawed, broken, complicated man who'd shattered her life and somehow given her a new one. Because revenge isn't as satisfying as I thought it would be, she admitted. And because maybe Emily Carter isn't as dead as I thought she was. He stepped closer. What does that mean? It means I'm going to do something really stupid, she whispered. Then she kissed him. 6 months later, Elena stood in front of a mirror in a simple white dress. Not the elaborate gown from 5 years ago. Something understated, elegant hers. Rachel knocked on the door. You sure about this? Elena turned to her best friend, the only person who'd stuck by her through everything. Not even a little bit? Then why are you doing it? Because love isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. She adjusted her hair. And Henry's worth it now. He wasn't before, but people change. I changed. Why can't he? Because he left you at an altar once already, Rachel said gently. What if he does it again? Elena thought about the past 6 months. The therapy sessions they'd both committed to. The long conversations about trust and trauma. The way Henry had introduced her to Natalie, who was 2 years sober and thriving. The way he'd walked away from his family's company to build something of his own. Then I'll survive it, she said. Because I survived it before, and I'm stronger now. There was a knock at the door. Henry's voice came through, nervous. Can I come in? I know it's bad luck, but I need to talk to you. Rachel opened the door. Henry stood in a simple suit, no tuxedo this time. His eyes were red. I can't do this, he said. Elena's heart stopped. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. What? Elena whispered. I can't marry you like this. Not in secret, not with just a few people. He stepped inside, his hands shaking. Emily, you deserved a real wedding 5 years ago. You deserved to walk down an aisle with everyone watching. You deserved the fairy tale. I don't need, but I do. He pulled out his phone. So I'm giving you a choice. We can get married right now, quiet and simple like you wanted. Or we can postpone for 3 months, and I'll give you the wedding you should have had. Every tabloid, every camera, every person who called you a gold digger watching as I marry you in front of everyone. Lena stared at him. You want a public wedding? I want the world to know I'm yours. No hiding, no secrets. I want to stand in front of everyone who hurt you and prove them wrong. His voice broke. I want to give you back everything I took from you, Henry. She crossed to him, took his face in her hands. I don't need the world to know. I just need you to know. But I want to. Please, let me do this right. Rachel cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt this moment, but there's something you should both know. She pulled up a video on her phone. This went viral 3 hours ago. It was Natalie Sterling, posting from her verified account. A video of her speaking directly to the camera. 5 years ago, my brother Henry left his fiancée at the altar because I was dying in a hospital. My mother told him lies about Emily Carter, and he believed them because he was scared and I was unconscious. But Emily was innocent. She was kind to me when no one else was. And my brother has spent 5 years hating himself for believing the lie. The video cut to photos of Elena's business achievements, her success story. Emily Carter didn't need my brother. She built an empire on her own. But he needs her. And if you've been following this story, if you were one of the people who called her a gold digger or worse, I'm asking you to do something revolutionary. Admit you were wrong. The video had 15 million views. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive. Alina sat down hard on the couch. She didn't have to do that. She wanted to, Henry said quietly. She wanted you to know that the Sterling family isn't all poison. Some of us are trying to be better. Alina looked up at him, this imperfect man who kept trying to fix his mistakes. 3 months is a long time. Too long. No, she smiled. Just long enough to plan the perfect wedding. But Henry, if you walk away from me again, I won't. He dropped to his knees in front of her. I swear on everything I am, I will never walk away from you again. And if I do, you have my permission to destroy everything I've ever built. That seems fair, Rachel said dryly. Alina laughed through tears. Okay, 3 months. But no phone calls during the ceremony. I'm leaving my phone in a locked safe, he promised. 3 months later, Emily Carter walked down the aisle again. This time, the ballroom was filled with people she'd chosen. Business partners who respected her, employees who admired her, friends who'd supported her through the darkness. Natalie Sterling sat in the front row, healthy and beaming, and Henry stood at the altar, his eyes never leaving hers, his hand reaching out as she approached. No phones. No interruptions. No ghosts, just 2 broken people who'd learned how to heal each other. I'm not Emily anymore, she whispered as she reached him. And you're not the man who left me. Then who are we? He whispered back. Better, she said. We're better. The ceremony was simple. The vows were honest. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Henry pulled her close and whispered, "Thank you for surviving me. Thank you for becoming worth surviving for," she whispered back. They kissed, and the ballroom erupted in applause as they walked back down the aisle together. Hand in hand, Alina caught sight of their reflection in the mirrored walls. To people who'd been destroyed and rebuilt, scarred but standing, broken but healing, no regrets, Henry asked. Alina thought about the girl who'd been abandoned, the woman who'd risen from the ashes, the person she'd become through all the pain. Only one, she said. I regret not knowing sooner that I didn't need you to save me. I could save myself. And now, I choose to keep you anyway, she smiled. Not because I need you, but because I want to. That's the best reason, he said. They stepped out of the ballroom into sunshine and camera flashes and a future. That was uncertain, but theirs. Emily Carter had died at an altar 5 years ago. Alina Carter had been born from her ashes, and the woman who walked out of that church was, somehow, both and neither. Something entirely new. Someone who'd learned that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming someone who can't be destroyed. The end.